Good afternoon, and thank you for taking the time to join us today to see a special presentation of Mortgage Machine along with the owner of Mortgage Machine, Jeff Bode. Thank you for your time. I have with me here today Crystal Stanton. Hello, Crystal.
Hey, Dan.
And of course, Jeff Bode. Hello, Jeff.
Hello.
So let me give you a bit of an overview, folks, of Mortgage Machine, and then we're going to walk through and show you the system, and you're going to get to hear from Jeff. So Mortgage Machine is an LOS. We market it as an all-in-one LOS, meaning that, which is a little bit different than what we see a lot going on in the market today. It has pretty much everything that you need in one self-contained system. Everything from your point of sale, your pricing engine, e-close capabilities, pretty much everything. And we're going to show you, we're going to show that to you today. I thought it was for you guys anyway, it's a real treat to have Jeff join us because unlike a lot of presentations you might see where someone's trying to just present software or sell you software, this is someone that has, and Jeff has a bit of a combination of everything. He's been the owner of other mortgage companies and still is today, as well as he was the originator of building Mortgage Machine. And so I thought it would be a great opportunity for us to share with you what a CEO of a mortgage company thought about technology and how that plays a part in the way that he runs and manages an LOS and a technology company. So, Jeff, if you would please, can you give us a little commercial on you, please, sir?
Well, thanks, Dan. I've been at this for many years. I have a philosophy that you only want to do things once and you want to do it right and you want to make sure it stays right. So that was kind of my philosophy in mortgage banking as to how we do it. There are a lot of unique things that people manage with other enterprises or other products. And we figured if we build the database that it has everything that has something to do with this loan, and we make sure we keep the correct data in the right place, we'll be able to manage it and move forward and close loans more efficiently than others. And correctly. It doesn't do you any good to close a loan that you can't sell. So we've been very diligent about making sure the process covers everything and we keep the loan saleable. Matter of fact, Dan, I'll let you ask questions from here.
Okay. I want to make just another comment, and then we're going to go from there. So, as you go through this presentation, we couldn't go through the entire step-by-step of the entire LOS, but what I want you to pay attention to is going to be the efficiency. That's one of the big things that we really promote of how easy it is. It's basically an out-of-the-box solution. It's not something that's going to take a 6 to 9 month implementation. We have, as I mentioned earlier, we have all the components necessary to originate a loan. But in addition to that, okay, the speed in which it operates, we consistently talk to people that, when they have complaints about whatever it is that they're doing, it takes a long time to get things done. This is a situation where it's far more efficient and the speed, which I'll let Crystal get to, but in which it operates is exceptional. So with that being said, let's get started. We're going to go back and forth. We're going to show you some components and we're going to let Jeff give you his comments on why he thinks that or why it's been built this way and why he thinks it's an excellent approach. So Crystal, can you give us the overview, please?
Absolutely. Let me go ahead and change my screen. And I'm going to start with just a high-level overview of the home page. So this is what you foresee when you log in to Mortgage Machine. The page itself is highly customizable with what we call tabs and banners. And I'm going to review some use cases for these features. So I'm going to start with the top left. Here you'll see some custom tabs that they've built for loan reports, contacts, bulletins, and resources, so users would have that information at their fingertips. And if you look over to the right, this is where you'd see example of custom tabs. Here they've built tabs for company updates, system guides, support emails. Their summary page, they've added these hot or quick buttons for ease of use. And as I move down the screen, the next widget on the left, of course, is going to allow you to pull up the loan by the number, borrower, or address. But if you look adjacent to that, you'll see the recent loans section. Now, this is going to show you your most recent 8 files that you've accessed. And you can see it displays the loan number, the borrower's name, the status of the leader loan, as well as any locked information. And we all know that our users don't stay in one loan all day long. They're constantly maneuvering in and out. So if they do need to pop into a previous file, they could go to their recent loans section, click on that file, and here you can see it's giving me a high-level summary. Now, I do want to point out it gives me this high-level summary, but they also have these hot links. So if I do need to dive in deeper, I could do that, or I could use the top ribbon above. And then without having to remember to write down the previous file name or number, I could simply go to my recent loans section and click on the previous file. Now, this feature isn't only on the home page, it's actually located throughout the milestones of the system. So no matter where your users are, they'll be able to maneuver in and out very efficiently. Moving down on the left, here you'll see the recently visited pages. It's a list of 10. Now, any that you want to remain at the top, you could star. Those that are unstarred will continue to cycle through as you work through the system. Now at the bottom, here you'll see another example of custom banners. These examples show banners built for processor and underwriter reference, product guides, compliance, and turn times. But what I want to point out is that these are fully customizable by you. So you can add, modify, and remove these as frequently as you like. And you don't need to submit a ticket or a request. These can be added by your system administrator. So now I'm going to draw your eye to the top ribbon where you'll see the milestones of the loan. Now I do want to point out that our system is role-based. So on my screen, you're going to see much longer menus because I have all access for our demo purposes. And I'm going to start my review with the loan tab. Now here you could see where you could import and export your loan data. We do have multiple queues throughout the system that allows users to efficiently manage their pipeline. Here you'll see 3 of them with the disclosure queue, QC review, and wholesale review queue. You'll also notice our loan badge feature, and that allows users to execute key loan actions across hundreds of loans in just minutes, and we'll touch on that as well. Below you'll see your activity history, and that acts like the audit log for your file. Now under origination, you could see a summary of your loan, submit to processing, you have your pricing and lock information, your loan fees, QM overview, your processor screens, and of course all your ERLA information. Now, Mortgage Machine is a very self-contained platform. So with these interfaces, you can directly order an appraisal. We have desktop underwriting, LPA and LQA. You can order your credit reports, request disclosures. We're going to touch on our integration with DocMagic today. Here you can order flood certs, add MI, as well as activate MI from here. Next is your underwriting screens and your queues, your doc prep workflow and queue, post-closing screens, and we'll also touch on some reporting options as well. So that's just a quick overview, and Dan, I'm going to pause and hand it back to you.
Thank you, Crystal. Jeff, one of the things that I've heard you talk about consistently that you think is important is the queries that can be run, whether it's processing, origination, or closing. Can you speak to that a little bit, please?
My logic is quite often we would have a processor getting the LDP information or whatever. We've built a query that goes out and gets that, as well as, I just saw the flood cert. So it just has to be done once. And if it's done and verified, the mail the postal information, it's there in one place. You don't have to run it again. If it's there and it's confirmed that it's been run, then the underwriter doesn't need to look at it too, because so often we had processors doing it, then the underwriters, and then in closing they would do it as well. But once you run it once, it's hitting the database that's right. You just need to do it, and it's verified. So that's our philosophy. That as soon as something happens that says we're ready to get the flood cert, and I think we've made the decision that once the loan's approved, we just get the flood cert. You could change the timing to do it before or whatever, but it's just that way it's done and over with. So not everybody has to do it multiple times. And I think that's, all you need to know is it's right, and that's what it does.
Right. Crystal, if you would, please.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. So I Jeff mentioned the postal, so I actually want to pop into one of my files just so I could show you really quick the postal verification. And I also, while I'm on the screen, I want to mention we do have this clock in the top right hand corner, and it not only shows the current date and time, but you'll see this number in brackets, and this is where the system is measuring its own efficiency, and it's displaying it for you in milliseconds. So you can see it access my file in 0.6 of a second, and you can monitor that as we go through the system. So I'm going to go ahead and go into our demo file, and I'm going to go to my borrower's information so I could look at the USPS information. So this is an address that I've added in, and to validate it, all I need to do is click this button and it directly validates it with the USPS. But this is a great example. I purposely did not add the unit name, so you could see that if you do have an address, even though it's a correct address, our integration is going to be able to tell that that particular address has multiple units, and it'll give you an alert to show you that you're missing that piece, so you could partner with your borrower and make sure that you have that full address before it validates that. So that's just a quick sneak peek of how that would work, Dan.
Thank you, Crystal. And Jeff, if you'd please talk about, I know one of your favorite parts of the system is our mark-to-market features. Can you explain a little bit behind the idea, the design, and what its purpose is?
Yes, the mark-to-market feature is based off of the original lock on the transaction. So if you lock that loan for a conventional 30-year fixed rate with a certain 90% with a FICO score of 720, it would run that based off of, that's what that borrower receives. And what we do is every time we have a price change, we rerun that mark to market. So you know exactly where you are on your lock with that borrower. And it just does it electronically. So it's just automatically. So every loan throughout that you've got locked throughout your system, you would know what the value of that loan is. So if you had a broker picking you off that was not delivering loans in, unless it was out of the market, you would know you're getting abused like that. We use that for a lot of things. Matter of fact, if a branch, we measure their pull through, and everything, if it's just a percentage of pull through means something, but it doesn't mean what you really want. You need to know if you're pulling through whenever the loans are in the market or out of the market. And if you're not pulling through when they're out of the market, you're getting picked off by somebody. So that way, not that you need to overmanage that, but you need to pay attention. That's something that management should care about. Fallout can be devastating. It's probably not as bad as it was 10 years ago, but we built this at the inception of the system, and very, very proud of what we've done. And I think if you the CFO of your company would realize that is important to pull through locks, and especially when the market is rallying, you want to make sure your locks get pulled through, and you darn sure can measure it.
Fantastic, thank you, Jeff. And I know, Crystal, you're going to show the pricing engine here momentarily. I wanted to just say a couple things about that. We're extremely excited about our functionality in the pricing engine, as we've worked diligently to increase the functionality that basically is, regardless of who you use, the big boys, whoever, you can accomplish the same thing with this system, with the current pricing, the way that we have it configured in the functionality of the system. And I've got a couple other comments here in just a minute, but go ahead, Crystal.
Absolutely. So I'm on the pricing and lock screen here, and I want to point out a couple things before we dive in too deep. I mentioned your recent loan section. That's going to be accessed in this top left-hand corner of all your milestones. So this is where you could search your recent 8, dive into any search by fields, or do an advanced search. And again, here's an example of these custom banners. And I do want to note, these could be added throughout the system on almost any screen. And one use case that I really appreciate is that we've added in these hot links for our custom forms. Now, you can build custom forms within Mortgage Machine, but with this use case, there's no need for me to leave this page. I could simply click on the form that I'm wanting to pull up. It's going to pull all the information from my file directly onto that form, alleviating the need for any double typing for information that's already been provided. Now, if I look to the right, these are the 6 preconditions needed to convert your lead to a loan. And as you can see, as that information is added, the system will automatically check that information off. And as I move down the page, you'll see this next side panel. Now, this side panel gives a high-level overview of the data points for the loan. So this allows the users to see this information without having to flip back and forth between screens. And again, it's all about creating that efficiency wherever we can to improve the user's experience by decreasing the number of clicks needed. And you'll see this banner as we work throughout the system. Now, this page itself is a really great overview screen for operations. It allows them to see the summary of the borrower's information, the property information, as well as the loan information. And below that, this is where you can see our pricing information. Now, we do have our own pricing engine that's powered by AI to automatically ingest and process daily pricing updates for your configured investors and aggregators. And Dan, did you want to talk more about those options from here?
Yeah, so basically what we've done is at the time of onboarding, when we're bringing you and setting you up in the system in Mortgage Machine, we're going to get a list of your aggregators, whoever it is that you sell to. We're going to go out, get that information. We're going to set them up in Mortgage Machine, and we use AI on a daily basis to go out and get the daily pricing. So in essence, in the morning, your LOs, whoever you're giving access to, is going to be able to get current pricing that day from your aggregators. And that is something that we've heard from many people that is really impressive and slick. And so I think that if we can ping the system and demonstrate that, Crystal, and if you'll go ahead and show that, please.
Absolutely. So each morning, once our AI has completed the pricing updates, your admin would receive an automated alert to advise that these updates have been successfully completed, but they could go directly into the system to see this information. And they could do so by clicking on this utility wheel here and go over into the product and pricing, and that's where they'll be able to see their data profiles. On the left, they would see all their aggregator and investor products, and to the right, you'd be able to see the most recent update. So here you could see the current date and time, which is right now, 1 minute ago. As Dan was talking, we pinged the AI. This is showing in Central Time here. So I'm actually going to go back into our pricing and lock screen so we could review a few more of the filters here. So on the left side, we've added various filters allowing you to customize your search. So here you can filter by closest to par or by a specific loan rate. And in addition, you could add multiple criteria to compare the different products simultaneously. So for example, our file, we're looking at conventional, but say I want to look and discuss not only that, but FHA products with my borrower. I could just make that selection, click to update my list, and it's now showing me both my conventional and my FHA information all on one screen. And the same would be for your terms. So say you want to look at 15 versus 30, I could just make those applicable selections and update my product list. And it's now showing me both my 15-year and my 30-year all on the same screen. So I'm going to go ahead and just select one of these so we could go in and take a peek at the rate table. So this table provides you a clear breakdown of how the different rates may affect your borrower's P&I and overall loan cost. On the left, you could see the P&I dollar amounts displayed for each option. And to the right, you could see the additional columns showing the cost or credit dollar amounts associated with each rate with the applicable lock period options as well. Now, we also have online pricing adjustments, and I want to show you that for your administrators. So I'm going to go into my admin screen and pull up the pricing adjustment screens. And again, this would be for your role-based admins. So this feature allows your admins to make adjustments on factors like adjustment groups, channels, pricing sources, relationships, all the way down to the loan officer level. Now, for example, maybe in a volatile market, you might want to go in and do a quick pricing adjustment. And you could do that on the global level or on the product level. So in my example here, it's showing a 1/4 point added. Now, if I don't make any selections, it's going to add that globally. Now, if I wanted to make that only applicable to maybe a particular channel or product, I would make those selections below. Now, I also want to go in a little bit deeper and show you the rate lock controls. So this is a very user-friendly feature. With just a few clicks, you can make real-time global adjustments instantly to activate or deactivate your locks across the board. So here, with a simple click on this hot link, that would deactivate my locks. And if I wanted to make those on a particular maybe investor or aggregator product level, I could go into those on that first screen we looked at and simply uncheck those to be able to turn the locks off for there. Now, before I hand it back, Dan, Jeff was talking about mark to market, so I actually want to go over into that screen and give a preview of that as well. I go in and I'm going to pull up one of my locked files. Now, from the lock administration, your mark to market feature is listed right here. So as Jeff mentioned, when you lock a loan, the system puts a mark on that file and it'll show where you locked it, and it sets the base price and rate, and then it starts monitoring that as the market moves. So here you can see the base rate, base tier if it had one, and the base price. And that ensures you always know where that lock is in relationship to the current market today. And also, as Jeff mentioned, there's a scheduled time that Mortgage Machine runs those updates on the mark to market feature. But if you click this hot link here, this update mark to market will allow you to update that information on the fly. And once a commitment number is entered for your file, the mark to market feature will then stop updating it. And if you look to the right here, this link will allow you to generate a report of the historical mark-to-market prices for the file over time. So that's just a quick dive into the mark-to-market feature. Dan, I'm going to pause and hand it to you.
Thank you, Crystal. A couple other comments about our pricing engine. Number one, we also will have the ability to provide best execution that'll go into production within a couple of weeks from today. So that's going to, in our estimation and in our position, we feel like that's going to match any of our competitors that are standalone pricing engines in terms of the pure functionality of getting the pricing you need. Also, I want to point out one fundamental difference is that you're not going to have to sign another contract with a third party and pay those monthly minimums and whatever it may be. That can be very expensive. With Mortgage Machine, this is software that's built into our system, which should be significant to you, especially in this kind of a market, being able to actually put dollars to the bottom line and saving on your expenditures. Next item we'll want to talk about is, we get asked this question a lot, but Jeff, I'm sure you've got some thoughts on this, but having the ability to provide people access to screens, can multiple people be working in a screen in various queues? Can you talk to this a little bit?
Sure. Dan, we allow multiple people to work inside a screen, but it gives you a notification that other people are in the screen and whether you want to save it or not. Quite often I get calls like, we need to do this loan, but we're having problems with this, or a pricing issue. And that way I can kind of see what the real issue is. If we have two borrowers, one of them makes 80% of the money and the other one doesn't make very much, but then we're using their FICO score on a government loan, I'll take a look at that and say, yeah, but we can cover that because the bulk of the money is earned by the borrower and the co-borrower just has a little bit extra. So I don't care what their FICO score is, because the borrower is going to make their payments because they've got the high FICO score and all the income. So just a way to make decisions based off of that, and all kinds of things that you'll see that on occasion where you need to collaborate to have that discussion and get to the right answer. So that's how we've done that.
Okay, fantastic. Crystal?
Yeah, let me go ahead and actually show you how multiple people can work in the same loan. So I'm going to pull up this file. So here we're on Danny demo, and I'm going to go in and let's go into processing. So here you can see I'm logged in as Crystal. Now I'm going to go in. I have to log into an incognito screen, and I'm going to be Mr. Demo. So here you can see I'm now logged in as demo, and I'm on the Danny 3 screen. I'm going to go into the pricing and lock. So as we know, Crystal's looking at the processing screen, and demo is on, or I'm sorry, Crystal's on the processing screen and Danny's on the pricing screen. I could go in and access these and do the work I need to do. So again, it's that efficiency where 2 people can work on the same file prior to it being submitted to underwriting. Now, if I try to access the screen that Crystal's on, which is the processing screen, here's that pop-up that Jeff mentioned. It's letting me know that the record's locked by Crystal, and when it means locked, it just means that I'm on that screen working. Now, if I click cancel for demo, it will allow me to view the screen, but again, it's view only. If I click OK, it allows me to take those controls over. So say, and I know everybody's been there, where someone's been on a screen and then they've left for the day, but now someone else needs to go in and do something. This allows them to take controls back and be able to go in and work on the system. So that's just a quick look of those ability to allow multiple people to work at the same time for efficiencies.
Thank you, Crystal. One of the things that I'd like to mention, Crystal mentioned that we have an integration with DocMagic. We also are in process of completing our own documents, and the difference between these documents and other documents is that they're all smart. And if you're familiar with Mismo and you're familiar with eNotes, you'll know that you've got to have a category 1 smart note to produce an eNote. Well, we're not just talking about an eNote. Everyone's got, if they have an eNote, it's got to be smart. But in this case, we're talking about your disclosures, your closing document package, your eNote, of course, are all smart. And there's some values that we don't have time to get into as we go forward, but it certainly gives you an option of a couple of different doc options that we have, which brings us to e-closing. So, Jeff, I know that you're a pioneer in the e-closing space. It's another example of something that we have built into Mortgage Machine. Can you talk to us about e-closing and your thoughts?
Sure. I was so pleased that we were able to move into e-closing as early as we did. We have found that we're really saving about $350 per file on every file from handling the note and handling the documents. And the big thing was, if we have everything in our system that the borrower signed, we don't have the issues where we may send a tax return to closing in an email outside of the closing docs. We just upload those right into the signing room, and the borrower signs them or doesn't sign them. And typically what we structured is whenever they've signed the documents, it turns green. When they haven't signed the documents, it's yellow. So, and that way you can see that everything's been signed that you put in there. So you're not stressing the title company or the escrow agent to get that information signed, and they receive it outside of it. So, the chances are, if they're signing 30 transactions that day, they may miss it because they're not checking their emails. They're just going with what they have. So that way we remove the chance from them not getting it signed. And we found that was massive in post-closing issues. That I bought a company that was about the same volume that we had, and they were doing, before they were not doing e-closings, they were just doing paper closings. They had 26 people in their post-closing department. We had 3 people in our post-closing department. They were on average selling their loans in 26 days. we were averaging 8 days, and some of those was because we were forming Ginnie Mae securities, and those took 20 days. But we were generally moving our conventional loans in a day or two because they were e-notes, and we just knew they were right. We didn't have to worry about the interaction between the title company, escrow agent, and ourselves, because it couldn't be done wrong. And the borrower, they couldn't miss signing a document because it would be yellow and we wouldn't fund the loan if it was still yellow. So it really reduced a lot of that. On Smart Docs, why I think that's going to be the winner of the future is not only do you have the PDF that is signed electronically, the Smart Doc actually takes the information that created the PDF, and that data becomes encrypted. It's called metadata, and that information would stay with the loan. So that way, if we receive the Smart Doc, we could run it through the computer. Instead of stare and compare, the computer would analyze it and say, okay, this says exactly this, so it matches what you've got for your funding or whatever you're doing. So I think Smart Docs is going to be the way of the future, by virtue of it's not like AI, where artificial intelligence, it's a 99.9% chance it's correct. With Smart Docs, it's 100%. And, the computer will tell you that. You're not counting on somebody's vision to make sure it's right. Smart Docs are pretty early in the process, but they're moving forward.
I think Jeff, that there's a lot of I know Ms. Mo's doing a lot of work to try to get Smart Docs accepted and so forth. Do you anticipate that this is going to be something that is going to have really positive effects in the market in general over the next few years? You think it's 5 years, 10 years? What do you think?
Oh, boy, that's tough to say. I honestly, after we did our e-closings, I thought everybody would be doing e-closings within a year, and it just hasn't happened that way. Smart Docs is so revolutionary. I think everybody's kind of looking at that shiny thing, AI. But, to me, 99.9% accuracy is not good enough, where Smart Docs is 100%. If it could go as fast as 2-year time frame where everybody embraces it. Fannie and Freddie, their comments to me are they can't wait. We just completed the CD on a Smart Doc format, and Fannie and Freddie can read that. So I think it's going to move pretty fast.
All right, thank you. Crystal, can you show us a little bit?
You got it.
Docs. Thank you.
So, absolutely. So I'm actually going to pick up the process from our underwriting. So to submit to underwriting, you would go into review. You do have the option to add in any particular notes that you'd want your underwriter to see. And from there, you would select the submission type. Now you do have the option to add in or upload new documents from here. And you can click the select file to search through your files, or you could simply do a drag and drop. Let me grab a few files from here. And you could drop them into that blue square. Now from here, you can of course remove anything. You have the option to add in your class and subclass from here if you like, as well as any particular notes that you felt might be necessary. Next, this option tab will allow you to send notifications of those items, and you would click upload. From there, you would just submit to underwriting, and your file would then flow into the underwriting queue. Now the queue, let me cancel my submission. There we go. Now the queue can be filtered by the production center, the loan type, loan purpose, and we've even built in a filter for day one certainty, so those could pop to the top of the queue. Now your underwriter that's assigned to the file would be able to view that from their overview screen. Now from here, our underwriting data is set up with the idea of generating a transmittal. The system will take a snapshot of the data and it holds it in a static version, so the underwriter knows that once they have underwritten a file, they'll be able to see exactly what it was at that time. And we built in a cool feature here. So if they do need to hand controls back to their originator, they can simply click this button. And once the originator has made the changes that they've needed and sent it back, your underwriter would be able to view those changes from the details view here. Now here you can see the previous values and the current values. Now there's no need to do a stare and compare. Only those features or fields that did change would populate here. And this is going to ensure that your underwriter's never taken off guard as to what was changed when it was handed back to them. Another feature is your notes section. I know we've all been there where we've added in notes and we just hope that someone remembers to go to the notes section or click on the square wheel to have them pop up. When you're adding notes here, you do have the option to put an attention to. It's not required, but if you put this attention button here, what it does is it places those notes directly on the screen where those users are working. So here you can see these are my test notes, and I selected funding and underwriting, which is why you see them here. And when we get to the funding screen, I'll show you where that populates as well. But first we're going to pop over and look at our loan data screen. Now this is a detailed look at the loan data for the underwriters. It provides a comprehensive information about what's happening on the file. You can see the details about the product, borrower information, property information, and the credit. Now if we go up and look to the right, here it compares the lock data versus what was submitted for underwriting. And this is extremely useful for underwriters to quickly spot any discrepancies. So it's a great way for the underwriters to verify the details without having to flip back and forth between screens or pull up a separate PDF to compare it to. We're going to go into our condition screens really quick. Now, what I love about the condition screens is that you could add these conditions right here into the system. Unlike other applications where you might have to go to a separate imaging system, it's all integrated here into Mortgage Machine. So they can search and add conditions, update the status, as well as clear conditions, all from this screen. Next feature I want to show you is our 1008 transmittal summary. Now this screen auto-populates most of the data for you. So you can see the borrower info, property info, mortgage, and underwriting information as well. And at the bottom, it allows space for the underwriters to input their notes as well. Now I'm going to scroll up to the top because I want to point out this icon here, this double document icon here. Once you click it, it'll push the 1008 directly into the imaging system. So there's no need to download and upload separately. It's all integrated here. Now we're going to move over into our doc prep screens. And before I dive into any of these screens, I want to pause and talk about our rules and warnings. So here you could see I have critical rule violations showing in red. Now those are those stop gaps that are going to keep your file from moving forward to close until those issues are addressed. The warnings in orange are just that. They're warnings to draw the user's eye to those fields to ensure the information is as it should be for that particular borrower, but it doesn't keep the file from moving forward to close. Now this area is very user friendly. You could see that it's color coded and the fields are also color coded to show which ones are applicable for critical versus warning. But even above that, I could simply click here, and if you notice, it's jumping my cursor to where that information would be entered. So I'm going to go ahead and just enter in one of the missing pieces of information. And once I've entered that, you could see that the red frame around that has now been removed, and my critical warning has been cleared as well. Now there are hundreds of pre-built base class rules and warnings that come with the system. However, you can add additional custom rules and warnings, and the great part about that is you don't need to be a programmer. These can simply be added by your system administrator. So you're really going to have all the tools you need to make the rules engine as robust as you want it to be. And again, it's because it's so easy to manage, add, remove these to your desired risk level and concerns. Now I'm going to go ahead and dive into some of these screens, and first we're going to look at the fees section. Now here you can see you have a great side-by-side view of your LE and CD information. To the left is where I could add in new fees by entering in the description, the amount, and who it's paid by, and to. And once I submit that, it'll populate below that orange banner as well. We've built in a TRID calendar so your users would be able to see this information at a glance. And to the right, we've also built in a tolerance test. And what that does is it gives you an itemized list of all your fees, but it'll also total up all your overages and show you where those can be found. So I'm going to go ahead and run one of those and pull it up. So here are all my LE and my CD information. If I had any overages, it would show in this far right column with the total up and right under here. So I'm going to close out of that screen, and now we're going to pop over in and look at our impounds. Now, at the top, you could see where you could manage your hazard insurance and for your property taxes. So you could input your city, county taxes, and other impounds as necessary. And if I scroll down to the bottom, this section allows you to easily compare your hazard insurance coverage versus the loan amount. So if a loan amount changes, you'll be able to quickly spot if the insurance coverage becomes insufficient. And the same would apply for your flood insurance if applicable. That would be shown over on the right. Now we're going to go over into our dates and conditions really quick. Now this is where your closer would see the prior to funding conditions. And if we scroll down to the bottom, this is where they can add in any special notes for the settlement agent. And from here, we're going to go ahead and look at our interface with Doc Magic and talk about how you could order your docs. Now to order your package, you would select this from the drop-down menu. And again, you could order anything from the initial disclosures all the way through your redisclosures and closing package. Now, if you were ready to order your closing, what you'd want to do first is run an audit. And to do that, you would, of course, select the closing package. And then from the options to the right, you would select H to run your audit and submit. Now, once that request is processed, you'll see a success status. It'll let you know a copy of that report is automatically uploaded to imaging. And this PDF icon here will allow you to view that report directly from Mortgage Machine. So here's our report. It shows all the loan details, the borrower's information, property information. And if I skip ahead, this is where you would see your data information as well. Now, if you're ready to go ahead and order your closing docs, you do have the option to go ahead and have this close with Ron. And you could select, of course, it to be e-signed. And if you'd like, you could go ahead and add in your e-note. From there, you would submit. And once it's processed, again, you're going to see the success status and it'll let you know a copy's uploaded to imaging. Now, if your user wants to look and see the borrower's progress of that package, they could do so from the e-sign screen. Now, if you've sent multiple packages, the most recent one would be the default view. But if you wanted to look at a previous one, you would just select the drop-down menu from here. And on this top section, it shows you a summary of the package. So you can see if it's in progress. To the right, it lets you know the number of documents that have been completed versus not completed. Moving down the page, you'll see your participant information. Now, this will allow you to directly resend the e-signing room meeting links to the borrower just by clicking these hot links. And next, you'll see your document summary. And this is where Jeff was pointing out the signatures. So here I could see those signatures that have been applied are showing in green. Those that are missing are very clearly marked by showing in red. Now, once all required signatures have been applied to any one document, it's automatically uploaded to imaging and you would be able to see the date and time that that occurred. I'm going to move down past the documents, and this is where you would see your event log, and it's going to show you all the activity of that e-signing room, from the invitations being sent, the consent being given, and then your signatures being applied. And before I hand it back again, I just want to take a quick peek into post-closing because I mentioned the funding page. This is where my notes that I wanted to populate, again, right there for my team to see. Here, there's tabs for the overview screen, conditions, fees and impounds, very easy and user-friendly to maneuver between those screens. To the right, I could see my funding breakdown. And I could also add in different calculations, say retail versus wholesale or correspondent. And in your final doc section, this screen does auto-populate, and you could see when documents were marked as received and if they were forwarded out along with the date and who took those actions. So I'm going to go ahead and pause for a quick second and hand it back to you, Dan.
Thanks, Crystal. Over the last couple of years, we've seen some significant enhancements to Mortgage Machine. It's all very cool. We're about to see another AI-driven component. But Jeff, I've heard you say multiple times, we have all the fields we need in the system. We just have to learn how to modify the routines. Can you talk a little bit about the mindset there?
Well, one of them goes back to the pricing engine. You were saying we had this discussion months ago that I didn't really grasp why lenders really wanted to have a pricing engine that they would show all of their employees or all of their loan officers the pricing engine to kind of see what the competition's doing. And you said, well, they're doing it and they're requiring it because their LOs want to see that because it's been out there. And I realized that our pricing engine, we could very easily enhance it because we had all the fields to just take a look at what every investor would do. And now we've incorporated that into our process. I let my managers look and say, okay, you can get a better execution with this company. And they say, oh, but I need to have a 3/8 better execution to justify not putting it into our own servicing portfolio. So they can make that decision. I push that down. But since we had all of the elements to price for any loan, we were easily able to add the investors and put it into the process. One thing I want to go back to on that the screen that had the signing, we actually send the documents to our investor if we have if it's an e-note transaction and maybe we don't have it drawn, we send those to our investors the day that the loan closes. And that way we can get that loan bought quicker. So if in the event we're in a bit of a crisis on having enough warehouse capacity, we were able to get everything bought. And frankly, we've been able to move our conventional loans to just a cash basis, in which we sell them off to the agencies and they will buy them the next day. And then that way we know we've got all of the documents here. If we're shipping off to an aggregator, we can actually gather all those documents and ship them the day in which we fund the loan so we can get them bought faster. So I was kind of surprised because I didn't realize we were doing that. And I came back from Colorado last year and looked and there was an office full of documents. I said, what is going on with that? Have we not shipped loans for a month? And that wasn't the case. It's just we didn't need the information back from the title company. So then we asked the title company to quit sending us documents back once we had everything because it's in our system already. So they saved themselves a FedEx package and probably about an hour of a processor's time to do that. So it's worked out efficiently and well for both the title company and ourselves. Sorry to go off on that tangent. I'll give it back.
No, I think that's the real value of people being able to hear you speak. Thank you. Crystal, one of the things that I mentioned early on was the efficiency of the system, and how it makes life easier for those that are using it. And so would you show them our loan batch and our click and file tool, please?
Absolutely. So we'll go ahead and go into our loan batch feature. So this feature enables you to work more efficiently, like Dan mentioned. You can handle growing volume without necessarily hiring additional headcount. For instance, rather than ordering flood certs one at a time or sending initial disclosures one at a time, you could group those like items together and complete them in batches, allowing you to streamline your workflow. So what you're looking at is just my library of batches. You could create a new batch or loan batch profile by clicking add and then just selecting the type of action that you want. But if you've already done that, which I have, I've already selected I want to send out my initial Doc Magic disclosures. To reuse it, I just need to click on my spyglass, click to add in my loan numbers, and then process. And that's it. It's going to start batching out all those initial disclosures for the loan numbers that I've entered. There's no need for me to stay on this screen, and I could go on and move forward with my task for the day. Now I'm going to go back to our home screen to show you click and file. I don't know if you noticed this, but here's the icon. Now, Click and File is our own proprietary document management system that's powered by AI, and I'm going to give you a high-level summary of just some of the tools and functions. So if you're in Mortgage Machine, which I am, and I'm already in a loan, to access that, you just click the link. If you haven't logged in for the day, it will ask you to do so. Now, here on the left, you could see the loan profile with all the documents indexed. Here you could see it displays the document's file name, the date and time that document was uploaded, and the page count. Now this double square here, this is going to signify that that particular document has multiple versions. So if you look across the screen under my properties, I'm going to scroll down to where the versions are. Now, your most recent version is going to be the default view and also your batch export. But if you needed to look at the historicals, you could just click on the link below and it'll display that for you there. Also center screen, I know that it happens to all of us where somehow documents are uploaded sideways or upside down. From the screen, it's very easy to adjust those just by selecting your rotation and saving the rotation from here. Now this icon on the right, I'm going to show you a couple different ways to split documents. This one is if you wanted to split manually. So if you wanted to go in, you have maybe a file that's, I don't know, this document's 10 pages long and I want to split out the first half. I could just do a page range 1 through 5 and then click my selection. Otherwise, I could also select them in the order that I wanted to split them out and split from here. Now on the flip side of that, you could also merge documents very easily just by selecting them in the order you want and clicking your merge feature. Now, as Jeff and Dan mentioned, Click and File will natively support Smart Docs. The system will read the code and display the PDF of the document while still holding the code on the back end. And that's what's going to give you the option to export it as a PDF or in the coded XML version. And I'm going to upload a Smart Doc really quick just so you could see what that looks like. So give me just a second to pull up, find one of my demo files. Now the only fields that are required here are the ones with the asterisk. So just my stage, class, and subclass. So we're going to go ahead and upload an LE. Find my file. Now before I actually click to upload, I want to show you that file. So here's the file name. I'm going to upload it, same file name. You can see it's fully coded in that XML format all the way down my full document. So let's go ahead and upload that. And it's that quick. It's uploaded my document, it's read all the code, and it's now displaying it in this PDF-friendly version. Now, in addition, we have an AI split and indexing feature where you can upload a document and the AI feature will automatically find the class and subclass and put the documents into the appropriate folders. And I do want to note that this feature can split files up to 1,000 pages in a single upload. So for example, if you have that 1,000-page upload that had a couple hundred different documents, you would just load it up. The AI feature will identify where the delineation is of the separate documents, splitting them up into those docs and classifying them, putting them into the correct folders. So I want to pull up a completed AI split document so you could see what to look for in those document profiles. So we're going to go ahead and look at Miss Sarah Connor. Here on the left, you'll see your loan profile with all the documents indexed. And this was my original file. It's a 110-page skinny file, but all my documents were merged together. And if I look over to the right under my properties and scroll down, this is where I could see my AI information. It shows the date and time that that document was analyzed and split by AI. And if I click on this tool, it's going to detail how it indexed that file for me. So I could see all 110 pages noted out. It displays the stage, class, and subclass it put that document into. And then the file name to the left is also a hot link. So I could click on it directly and it's going to jump me to that document. Now, it's important to note that any document that was split from a package via AI will also have the AI document properties noted. So it shows the date and time that that occurred, and it also has a tooltip. And the tooltip is a hot link back to the original file. So in case you have multiple files uploaded that were split by AI, you'll always be able to find the root file back to that original file that was uploaded. So that's just a quick snapshot. Dan, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Thank you very much, Crystal. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Crystal, if you'll put up on the screen contact information, we'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to have a one-on-one deeper dive into Mortgage Machine, we'd be happy to visit with you. I can't emphasize enough, if there was ever a time to reduce your cost of origination, get a more efficient workflow, you can do it. You've heard from Jeff several things that you can do a lot more with less, and on and on. Would really like to talk to you if you have any interest. And Jeff, thank you very much for joining us. It's always a treasure to listen to you talk about your years and years of experience and what you've learned over time to ultimately do what that I always hear you talk about, which is be profitable. So thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.